9. I just want to see how many seconds it takes. 11, 12, and we're probably live by now. Hi, everyone. Welcome. This is From A to B, presented to you by AwesomeMo.com. This is the Tuesday golf edition, the last one of the season. The last one of the first part of the second season of the beginning of the year again. I'm Andrew. I'm joined by my friends Ben and Tim. We are going to talk about the RSM Classic today. Fellas, what's happening?
Going on? It's great event to end the year on. Ridiculously terrible field. Really, 7,000 yard par 72. That's gonna probably have about -6 will be the scoring average. So yeah, it's a good way to end the season. The fall swing on a terrible event with a terrible field. So I'm looking forward to it.
Shot tracker.
Shot tracker on, yeah.
Not on Plantation.
3 of the 4 rounds will get shot tracker. Brendan Todd made the field. I mean, this is a great week. It's a great week for sure.
Hey, well, we're keeping it positive,
We're doing our best.
Karis LeVert's okay.
That was awesome. Not the part of him getting hurt, but I figured he would be gone for the year. Doesn't seem to be the case. So good for him. Just a dislocated foot.
Did you see I tweeted this out. It was, pretty late. I was in bed. In bed. It was 11:30 Pacific time, so I don't think anyone saw it. But I was reading the story where they had the player reactions to it. Derrick Rose is like, "Yeah, man, I was on the court for Paul George. I was on the court for Hayward, and now this." And it was like, holy shit! That's
get that guy out of get him away from everyone.
The guy is truly cursed. It's not just him.
He's a black cloud.
Yeah. And whatever about anyway, Derrick Rose a jinx, but not this time. LeVert's skating out, so that's nice to see. That guy's going to be a good player. Anyway, this is more of a golf show. We are at this is the one I screwed up royally last year.
This is true. Sea Island, remember it.
Remember Sea Island? It's in Georgia. I know that. So
look at the progress that we made in a full year.
Yes. Little less buried this year. It's great. Anyway, Tim, you want to talk to us about the course? Because I did my job there. I said what it was called and where it is.
Good job. Way to tee it up for me.
Thanks,
so it's a 2-course rotation, meaning they'll play 1 round at the Seaside course, which is a 7,000 yard par 70. As the name says, it's right kind of oceanside, open up to the elements. So if the wind gets up, it can play difficult, but generally plays pretty easy. More of an accuracy course. I think it's a lot like last week at Mayakoba. Not a big advantage to the long hitters. Actually, their length will be really negated this week, just like it was last week. So yeah, keep it in the fairway, approach game, and then just converting birdie putts. So it's going to should be another birdie fest this week, unless the wind gets up. Then you want to focus more on around the green. But generally, just approach game, make birdies. So they'll play around there. Then they'll go over to the Plantation course, which is a 7,000 yard par 72, which is extremely, extremely short. They'll just tear that course up. It's going to give up a lot of birdies, a lot of eagles. More inland, more of a parkland type course, tree lined fairways, etc. So yeah, they'll play 1 of each at there, and then they'll go back to the Seaside course for 2 more rounds. So a little bit of a rotation, but yeah, I'm expecting a lot of birdies this week. Bermuda greens. So you'll see kind of your Bermuda specialist pop up here. Sea Island, there's tons of guys that have ties to the area. I mean, it's almost not even worth noting because it's like so many guys either live at Sea Island, train there, grew up in the Southeast, played golf in the SEC. So there's tons of guys with a local angle. It's almost overkill. But a lot like last week. I'm really looking at the same things: driving accuracy over distance, approach game, making birdies.
Yeah, it seems like this is a place where the only teeth potentially is the wind, because I'm with you. You got hit the fairways, but the rough's really short, the fairways are really wide, and it's a crazy short course. So it's you almost kind of can't screw up off of the tee. I mean, we'll get to Stoneman, West Bryan later, but it's a tough road to screw up off of the tee. And yes, 7,000 yard par 72 at the one with less conditions. That's insane. I think this is one of those places, and Ben, we've had this debate a couple times over the years, I feel like, where when you've got the 2 different courses like this, If there is any kind of weather split between the 2 days, like there's 2 differing arguments, right? There's say for one reason, like say it's, we don't really know yet, but it does look a little calmer on Friday, at least Friday afternoon right now, whatever, it's Tuesday morning, afternoon, so not much to get out of that now. But say it was a hurricane on Thursday and like no big deal on Friday, totally calm. You can argue that you would rather have the guy that's protected from the elements on Thursday, playing the more inland course, and then, have an easier time at the seaside course in the afternoon. Or you can say, well, the easier one anyway, you just want him to like shoot you want him to be on 59 watch and then hope he just doesn't get killed at the harder course.
Yeah, we've talked about that at, with Spyglass and stuff when it's the triple rotation. I tend to say, I'd rather take my guys get through the cut, which I think generally yields you play the harder course on the easier day. For the nuclear upside, I think there's a little more variance if you play the harder course on the harder day, the easier course on the easier day. But from what it looks like right now, I know it's only Tuesday. It's not going to be a harder course kind of day. It's just going to be score and then score more when you're on plantation.
Yeah, I think specifically this one too, where there is one that it's not just like the difficulty, it's also like sheltered from the elements a little bit more. I think if there turns out to be a pretty big difference, like in the weather splits, I'd prefer the guys playing the seaside course, the one that's exposed on the less elemental day. Know what I mean?
Fair. No, this one, I mean,
I often argue the other one when we're talking about Spyglass versus Monterey Hill versus whatever the other one is. Pebble Beach.
Pebble Beach. The only thing I'm really doing, and people talk about tee time stacks, you can obviously do that here, is I will have some teams where all my guys play together on a course because you never know which day could be slightly better, and I do like that fit. But all in all, those are secondary things we got to deal with. It is a full field. The last couple last couple tournaments, it's only been like I think $130. This is a full 156 or so. Getting through the cut, 6 of 6 is going to be low if there's a little carnage.
Indeed, yeah. Finishing off with a bang,
Yeah, something like that.
That just means, there's a lot of tough stuff in here. Tim, our most expensive players are Webb Simpson, Cameron Champ, and JJ Spawn and Chesson Hadley, who are both cracking 10K.
What a world.
Yeah, it's bad. It's real bad. You're just going to have to get used to everybody being like 50% overpriced or something. You have to get over it or else you'll never be able to make a lineup. But it's a really weird week. This is a bad field. It's really bad, as you noted with the top 3 players.
Well, so it's a strange. You're defending Chesson Hadley's price tag here?
No, well, I mean, somebody has to be that expensive. I'm not defending it. I think. Well, I'll kind of get to my reasoning. To me, a lot of the good plays or the best plays are in like the 7,500 range, which is going to lead me to Webb Simpson. Unfortunately, he's playing well, and this is a good course for him. Any of these guys up top are going to feel extremely overpriced. You're not going to feel comfortable paying for any of them. Champ, Spawn, Hadley, Glover. They all feel significantly overpriced. Webb he's when you factor in how well he's played last year and the fact this is a great course for him and the consistency, to me it's the easiest one to take. He is, the most expensive by $900, but I just think everything kind of lines up in the fact that I do like so many guys that are cheaper. It's going to leave me with a lot of money. Feels a little bit like Fowler last week where you weren't really enthused with paying that price for him, but the fact when you compared him to the other players and just the consistency that he brings, does he have the winning upside for a guy that you want to pay 11.8 for? Probably not. But in this field, maybe you just take your T10 and move on. Hope he does a little bit better than that. But I'm not. Spawn is egregiously overpriced. Hadley egregiously overpriced. Champ you could make a case for. I just don't love the price combined with the course fit. I know he's done well on short courses, but if I'm going to pay that price for him, I want him on a course you can whale driver, and that's not this course. So I guess I'm going with Webb by default.
All right. It's tough to argue with that, Ben. You got different takes there?
No, I mean, it's a situation a lot of times we talk about, when we have these full tough fields, it's like, it's hard to omit the first 8 guys because you're sacrificing so much win equity. It's so wide open. The difference between those guys and, like Tim said, and the $7,500 golfers is some of them have played well here and some of them are in good form. Talent wise, I don't know how big of gap there is. Someone like Webb, he's a little different, but like Spawn, Hadley, those guys we've seen fluctuate wildly throughout the year. Spawn's the guy. I mean, I had 100% of him last week because he was 7,500. This is a totally different animal. As friend of the show, we have Hatchman in the chat. He is a Spawn truther as well. He's great. It's just everyone is going. You're not going to get any ownership discount. If anything, he's going to get a bump because you're going to have money to spend. I'm going to start some teams with Spawn because I'm not just going to jump off simply because, of the popularity. It's just tricky when you see these price tags. So I think Webb's the safest. If I play cash, it will be Webb up top. I think you can make a case for really going balanced all the way down to someone like Kisner to start.
Yeah, it's almost showdown-ish, where like a crappy showdown game where there aren't 5 studs to pay up for, where like price sort of doesn't matter. So it's like whatever with the JJ Spawn price tag. As one of the original JJ Spawn truthers, I think that he's a totally good play here. And like 10-4, I actually don't think, given this field and given what his game is, I don't think it's crazy. The thing is, like at 10-4, you need him to bring the putter, and he's a guy who often does not. So we'll see what happens. I'm sort of interested in the champ here, and I haven't played him yet. I just think that price is like, I would hope it drives down the ownership a little bit. And like the guy has some game. And this is a bit like this more than last week. You can bomb and gouge here. Not that he's missing fairways necessarily, but pretty good wedge player. Like, I mean, the guy's going to have like 60-yard second shots sometimes.
When he clubs down, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, Tim, that's your account, I guess, by default. I don't know what to make of him. I was more impressed with him last week. When he won, yeah, he gained 9 strokes putting. He's talented enough. When he gains 9 strokes putting, he's probably going to win. Last week on a bad course fit, he ran into some doubles late and kind of fell back, but he was pretty impressive, to be honest.
I agree. That's sort of what I meant to say. So I'm with you that last week was more impressive than what we've seen before. But sorry, that was Tim, you got champ thoughts?
No. Yeah, I mean, anybody that wants to play him, I wouldn't say it's a donkey play, it's a fish play. For me, the price and the course fit, I just don't love it. I mean, he's a guy I'm going to end up waiting and playing him at places like Riviera and Torrey Pines when he's 8K in a stacked field and he can use the driver to his full advantage. So yeah, as the second most expensive player, I don't see him winning here. This is one of the few courses, along with last week, along with places like Harbor Town, where you've seen almost primarily short hitters win here. So this is one of the few places where I do think that the long drivers, the big drivers of the ball it's really negated, and you just haven't seen guys like him win here. Now, granted, he could be generational talent, and and we'll look back on this and we're like, yeah, remember when we faded Cameron Champ in this terrible field? But yeah, I just don't think I'm ready to go there at this course. It's more about course fit and the price. It's up there. You're going to need a really good finish from him here to pay off that tag, and I just don't like it this week.
I think that's fair. I guess I'm sort of going for I think the guy has a chance. Not that he's a generational talent. I'm not ready to go there yet. I just think he is probably he's pretty lead scorer. Did putt well again last week for what it's worth. Like, I know we don't have shot track data from last week, but we got to make do with what we have, and he was, top 30-ish in like putts per GIR, which does have a very, it's a strong correlation to strokes gained putting. It's not perfect, but that's what we're rolling with. He was right up there in GIR, which is your, closest analog when you don't have strokes gained approach. We know he's going to put himself, granted his like approach maybe a little bit lower than that because he puts himself in such good position from the first shot, and GIR percentage is not just a function of the second shot; it's also a function of where the first shot ended up. But you know, that's also like sometimes you can go the other way on that. And Tim, you brought this up once, and I remember it being like a really good point about Phil always looking like the greatest approach player because his strokes gained approach are so good. Part of that is because like he has much more room to gain strokes on the approach because his tee game is so bad. Like there are more potential strokes to gain on the approach from 30 yards into the trees than there is from 340 down the fairway.
Yeah, and I think you'll have to give Champ a bit of a break. We don't have a lot of shot link data. But yeah, his strokes game approach doesn't need to be as strong because if he's flipping wedges from 80 yards, he can be slightly below average and still giving himself really great birdie looks. We made this, like Wes Bryant 200 from the rough and Cameron Champ 60 yards from the fairway.
Right. Wes Bryant has like another stroke and a half to gain. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, Wes Bryant can gain strokes and have a 30-foot birdie putt, and Champ can lose strokes, or a fraction of a stroke, and have a 10-foot birdie putt. So you get these guys that are great drivers of the ball and are constantly kind of in position A. They don't need to be elite with their strokes gain approach because an average shot is going to yield a decent birdie opportunity on a lot of these holes.
Totally true.
Yeah, I mean, if you could drive it onto the green, you wouldn't have any. Think about it like that. Like if he could just hit it without an approach shot, you would have no strokes gained approach. So it doesn't give you any opportunity. We've seen that with Rory though, where he can't hit wedges and it doesn't really help. You got to be able to stick the wedges like Dustin Johnson had rolling, and Champ seems to have a little of that.
Yeah, I was gonna make the Rory analogy as long as you're not that bad.
It's just like, oh yeah, great. He only has 60 yards left, and then he's he doesn't even hit the green. That's where you're it's got to correlate. That's why we talk about it all the time. You can hit it short if you're good with long irons. That works well. Like it works. You're going to have a lot of those shots. At a place like this, some of the shorter hitters that we've seen win, it's nice because, if you're a short hitter and a good wedge player, this is going to be your chance to really lean on those skills.
Yeah, agreed. We don't have either Rory here this week. Neither good nor bad. Or bad nor good. No
Blessed.
Ryan Moore too. Like that's another guy who you would think play well here. He couldn't putt to save his life last week either. I don't know. Let's get off of this top tier. Ben, next group down. What do you got for me, bud?
It's more of the same, honestly. You could interchange this group with who we just talked about for the most part, and I don't think it would be that crazy. And that's, I think, what we're all saying is it's not. It's really fine edges. Someone like Neiman, who he putted really poorly last week, from what I can tell, he's kind of cooled off a bit. He was okay at Shriners. He came in 10th. 8,900. Like I'll take my chances with him just as much as any of these guys here. You got someone. Cook is the defending champ. Kisner has played this course a billion times. Talent-wise, no problems with a guy like that, either of them.
Careful on the Cook talk. We got Jackson in the chat, and I believe he's at work, so you need him to keep his pants on. Keep that job. Yeah.
Well, Cook was real good when I needed him to make the cut a couple weeks ago. He just gave me multiple double bogeys, and then he went on a birdie streak when he was like 5 over. Good effort. Didn't quite get there. I mean, I'll go all the way down to 8,500 Chris Kirk, who another former winner here. He's got a couple other good finishes. He's actually been – you can look at it two ways, and we talk about that a lot with these things. His irons, which are his best club, have been down. His approach has not been good lately. His putter actually hasn't been terrible, though, and off the tee he's been pretty solid. So he goes to a course that he's played a million times. I kind of think that the irons will regress positively before maybe some of those other things – regress negatively. Seems like a decent buy low spot for me at 8,500.
All right. Yeah, I don't hate that.
He burns me every week. Me and Chris Kirk. That's one of my many love-hate relationships.
Yeah. I have a weird, I don't know. I feel like every time I play him, I always miss the spectacular missed cuts, and I miss the top fives. I just play him when he comes in 42nd, like every time. I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm on the other side. Like he has made me some really good finishes, and he has crushed me in some great spots.
Yep.
So, boomer bust.
He is. I think I'm buying on Neiman again this week. I imagine that, in this field, I think that price tag seems pretty soft. I think he'll be pretty popular. Don't mind Zach Johnson, especially at the one with all the par fives. He should just annihilate that. Ben, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the audience. I'm talking to the people that are paying money.
It was another solid finish for ZJ. Just stringing along a good swing season FedEx Cup for him. Where is he? Oh, yeah, he's been, since the PGA, 40th miscut, 33rd miscut.
Let's not forget I dusted you in our head-to-head last week. So
yeah, it's true. We had Kuchar versus Lahiri. Not bad.
Yeah. I was winning the stupid lotto all day almost on Saturday because when Lahiri was holding solo second because he was 1% owned and I had just every possible Kuchar permutation, but not every possible Kuchar permutation. It turns out there were other ones that were better.
Spoiler alert.
You didn't have Richie Wierenski in there. That was your problem.
I did have one. Because I got I got 24 6 of 6 or something like that, and 21 of them. I played 50-ish% Kuchar. It just happened to fall that 21 of them were with Kuchar. So it was wow, this is whatever. It's still the lotto. There's 17,000 people in there. I'm not counting any money, but I had a lot of outs. Did have a Wierenski team. It was just kind of a disproportionate amount of them also had Henley, who just kind of was bad. Not bad. He just didn't move anywhere. Neiman tanked a bunch of them. Reeve was fine. Whatever. It just didn't have everyone that happened to have Danny Lee or Adam Hadwin or whatever. I didn't get enough combos with 3 of those guys in there. So whatever. Lahiri and Kuchar were both good. Zach Johnson was terrible. Point taken. Anybody else in here for you, Tim?
Yeah, I'll second Neiman. Just seems too cheap. I think he'll probably be one of the highest owned players, though. That price really sticks out. 10th 2 weeks ago, 60th last week, but he was up there after 2 rounds or he played well to start off. I wouldn't make too much of the T60. Not a great course fit, but at 8,900, I like that better than Cameron Champ at 10.9. So I think Neiman will be popular. I love Zach Johnson this week. This course, course set up great for him coming off the miscut. He was awful last week.
Yeah.
But 9K in this field where Webb Simpson is 11.8, where Chesson Hadley is 10.1, where Lucas Glover is 9.9. I love it. Of course, these courses couldn't set up better. The course history is kind of spotty. I don't care. I think that'll probably lead to lower ownership and probably is the reason why he's a little bit cheaper. So kind of a strange course history because you would think this would set up perfectly. Yeah, I'm in on ZJ. I just think it's perfect for him. I think he's too cheap. And I think coming off the miscut, I don't think people will be on him. But, he sticks out to a sore thumb to me this week. So
me too. Just that he's wildly overpriced.
He's overpriced at 9K?
I'm not even – I'll say this, real talk. I think he sets up well for what we know about ZJ, short hitter, short irons. I really don't know how good but I said this about Kuchar too, and then I did get on last week. You convinced me, but off the tee.
Yeah, you got on because I wouldn't shut up about him for 2 weeks.
It was good. I listened. I'm not listening to this though. Zach Johnson's been losing strokes off the tee for a long while now,
and I can't lose strokes off of the tee here.
Well, we're gonna find out. He's gonna put that to the test. And do I think he's fine? Maybe in a, what do I say every time with Zach Johnson? Fringe cash play that I don't actually play. But, he's got a little pressure here. It's not like he can just coast to his 33rd and noodle around with Kuchar's wife as his caddy if his caddy's still sick. I don't have time for that.
What is he doing to Kuchar's wife?
Yeah, what is
Kuchar's wife filled in for his caddy. He got sick before last week.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
He probably gave him the wrong distances. That's why
Kuchar didn't have his own caddy.
Okay, well.
How is Kuchar's wife going? Neither of them have their caddies, and Kuchar's wife's on the back.
Maybe I got that wrong. There was something with Kuchar's caddy's Zach Johnson.
I thought it was Furyk's wife that always. Someone's wife actually plays with them fairly often.
Derek's wife isn't even. She's too old to carry a bag. Yeah. How old is she? Like
CT Pan's been doing that too. He's been using family members on the bag.
I knew we were talking about somebody's some geriatric person's wife. Yeah, I mean, a lot of dudes, like Dustin Johnson uses his brother. Somebody else, like a big deal guy, uses his
Patrick
brother.
Reed uses his brother-in-law. Not gonna, we're not going.
Brooks will be using his brother once he stumbles his way off of the Euro Tour. I think that's.
But I don't know. When Zach Johnson's forced to return placement points, I get somewhat skeptical, especially with the form that we've seen recently.
Okay.
He's played one time since I don't know what his last event of last year was. Was it
It was BMW.
BMW, yeah. I mean, he's played
no,
two rounds in the last couple months.
And now and next week he'll have 4, and then he can have a break, and we'll see him at Sony or wherever the hell he is. But
all right, Hotshot, who you like better? You like your Charles Howell? You got some Luke List, any Kisner
Having
love?
said that, Chucky 3 Sticks, who's been just horrendous too. I don't really have a ton of interest in this range in general. I know I mentioned Neiman's my favorite of the bunch, and then I would really work down to I know I'm scrolling down, but Bud Cauley is 7,900. I don't really get that price. He's playing well, clearly looks fine. I think he should be towards what the guys we were just discussing in terms of price.
I like Henley, Cook, and Neiman most from this range. I just don't hate Zach Johnson. Kisner's interesting because he's played really well here. I'm sure he's from here or something because everyone is. No, I know he's actually from South Carolina, but that's like a stone's throw away, right? But he's playing awful. He is truly bad. That said, Kisner's the kind of guy that tends to come out of nowhere, so I don't really know. But not particularly interested there.
We do have a couple of things from chat just before we move on. Some interesting things. We got a hot take of Jonathan Bird wins. Write that down. So I'll remember that one. We got me with recency bias on ZJ, which maybe a little bit. I know that's the same person. I got my Tony Finau recency bias. Where's Tony? But and then we think it was Glover's wife. Glover's wife definitely not on the bag. Not her.
Not spending money on Saturdays and Sundays.
Yeah,
needing Lucas to bring home some more.
If he could putt, man, he really has been striking it great.
Yeah, I mean she's getting him motivated. Different people respond to different. That's not even funny. Never mind.
But it's I mean, other than that though, honestly, when you have a field that's so condensed in terms of I don't see a wide range of talent, you can interchangeably look at some of these guys and say in a slightly different form, or if they had a little better course history, instead of being like Bud Cauley 7,900, he could be 9,500 here, and I really wouldn't be overly shocked. That's kind of how I'm approaching the week as a whole.
But he's not 7,900, man. I mean, he's not 9,500.
I was going to say, is he not?
He is 7,500. What if Russell Henley was 7,900? What would you do then?
Honestly, I'd be more likely if he would be super popular. But see Russell
Henley
Henley
7,100 in a horrible field 2 weeks ago, and no one played him, and he still missed the cut.
I retract that. Russell Henley is perpetually 6,800 and simultaneously 9,000. I've never seen a guy who's I can never price him accurately.
Yeah, our buddy Ponta is taken to calling him the social experiment, and fair enough. Speaking of our friends, one of our friends was lost in the desert, and his big revelation on a spirit quest was that he was excited for Jim Furyk to have played well. Anyone excited about the career resurgence for Jim Furyk?
No.
Not gonna go there. He is playing pretty well, but still, no.
He's got a great course history, 6th, 3rd, 11th, and that makes sense because of the type of player and the type of courses, but not getting fired up for a 50-year-old Jim Furyk.
It's so hard to go to these, especially now. Like, they said they're calling for a lot of rain before the tournament. If it's soaked and these guys are – not that Jim Furyk can't go low, obviously. We've seen instances, but I still will take some of the – more aggressive guys in a shootout format. It's just hard for them to keep pace.
We've seen instances. I mean,
He's got a 58.
Yeah, exactly.
That'll do it.
There's
Like,
an instance I'm thinking of.
yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It's not like he's immune to that, but on the whole, he's more of a he can grind. Like he shoots a 68 when the scoring average is 74, and you're like, oh my, it's like the Stricker, or not. You don't know, yay or nay.
Me, Furyk? No, I'm not. I'm not playing Jim Furyk. Come
Okay,
on.
no, the way I thought you might be secretly into that. I was kind of surprised.
No, I don't think so. I was needling Carl. What about your boy Uline?
I mean, it's amazing. I felt like I didn't play him at Shriners, and I was like, oh man, so lucky to weasel out of that. He didn't even come in the top 20. Like after it was like how he wasn't even that close. Obviously, in a field with the lack of talent across the board, can you look to him? Sure, I'm gonna have a couple shares, but he once again, not someone I would much rather play Cauley, go get Neiman. Even someone like Richie Warinsky, who played well last week. Bill Haas is there. There's just so many guys I can make a case for over Uline.
Don't just gloss over Bill Haas. Come on, I know you got some stuff to say about him.
Nah, man. I mean, he's another one. He should like this course. He does like this course. The problem with him right now is in these scoring fests, his best attribute is he's a good scrambler. And we've talked time and time again, although scrambling, it's nice. You're going to need a little of it here. You can't be getting up and down, even if you're doing it effectively too often. You have to attack and make some putts. I'll probably have a couple stabs because he's shown a little form, but another one where I'm not sure it's the best format for him with the winning score that could be, 22 under.
All right. I mean, is it even his best attribute anymore?
What is around the green?
Yeah.
It's been ridiculous. I mean, in the short sample size, he gained at Safeway, he gained 7 strokes around the green. And then at Sanderson Farms, he gained 4.5.
All right. That's enough to 86 Bill Haas for me.
Like,
we'll just play him at the U.S. Open and the Open Championship.
If he's in those, that could be the problem. Got to qualify, Bill.
We do. All right. Let's see here. Yeah, I think that's about it for the 8K range. Unless, I mean, do we want to talk about Harmon and Im are both at 8 flat? Kind of interested by him at this price. Like this, this is the first sort of more reasonable price we've had for him. I mean, I think last week it was 7,800. I didn't hate that. Missed the cut finally, but this guy's fine. I just don't see him being like a dude that's going to nuke very often. I think that T4 at Safeway, pretty out of the ordinary for me. This is like your fringe cash kind of play for me here. Tim, you got any takes on Sungjae Im or Brian Harmon?
I mean, Harmon has just been so bad. Everything, the course should set up perfectly for him. He's a Georgia guy. But, I mean, I've played him when he's really cheap and, he's just, like, scrapping together like a T60, and it's been really bad. So I don't think I'm going to pay 8K for him. I don't have much interest in him as well. The price does seem reasonable for this field because it's really a bad field. I'm with Ben. I think Cauley seems very underpriced to me. T29 last week, T10 2 weeks ago, coming off the car accident. He's made all 3 cuts. Has a pretty, I guess it's hit or miss course history, but he's got an 8th, a 20th, and a 15th here. Just, he's a guy we've been playing for a long time. The talent's there. He's battled so many injuries over the years. Just, we've all been waiting for him to kind of put it together, and this looks like a really good spot for him at 7,900, so I do like him. Going down, I think this is where we kind of get into the guys that I like that seem to be, the course fit types, maybe not playing great, but just a place here where one of the few places on tour where you think guys like Ryan Armour, Brian Gay have a really good chance to compete, where you don't have to hit the ball very far, just put it in the fairway, make a good approach. And in Gay's case, just get hot with the putter, and he can be one of the best putters around. So this, he doesn't hit the ball far at all. He really needs a short course to excel. So this would be one of the kind of the handful of places on tour where if he's got a shot to top 5, I think this is one of the places, and he has a 3rd and a 4th here. So, hasn't played great, making cuts, just kind of bumping around in the T40 range. But if the putter gets hot, Gay's a guy I like a lot at 7,500.
Yeah, if I knew the putter was hot, I'd lock it
Yeah.
in.
Damn, I'm in. Yeah, there's the guys there. It's funny. That was a question from Chad. It was, who do you prefer out of Brian Gay, Ryan Armour, or Killa Keith?
Three
for me,
very
it's
different archetypes. That's a cool question.
Yeah, it's interesting because I honestly see the narrative for all three. There's certain things that you can take at a course like this from all three. All in all, I think Ryan Armour, for me, kind of fits the mold in between. You know, Keith Mitchell's a little too wild for me, and Brian Gay's a little too reliant on the putter. I see the narrative for any of them in tournaments, but Ryan Armour's the guy that I'm pretty into right at 7,500.
I think Ryan Armour's the safest answer there. The other two have much greater upside, and it's from opposite ends of the spectrum. Like, Gay can get really hot on the greens. Mitchell is just a god off of the tee. But Armour's got a pretty stable skill set. Like, he's a good iron player. You know, he's probably not going to screw you. Seems pretty safe to make a cut at a field like this. You know, that said, there's 156 people, so we're going to see a larger percentage of people miss the cut this week. There's some really bad players, so you should be able to knock some of those off out the gate. But there were bad players last week too, and you know, Charles Howe and Zach Johnson both missed the cut.
Yeah. Bad players, most of them will get cut. Some of them will make it though, and here the line is, you know, there's not as many like super. You're gonna see a tough 6 of 6 percentage, especially if some of the chalk goes down.
Mm-hmm.
There are two guys in this range that I've never played that I know I'm going to play one of them, and there's another one that I actually might roster as well.
M. Thompson?
That's the guy I know I'm going to play.
I knew it.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously, you know, people are going to see this. He has a good recent form. He's playing well. He's a good putter, kind of like Brian Gay, consistently. You know, a strong, that's his best club, and he loves this course. We've seen it repeatedly. He's taking advantage of RSM, and not going to be over the top. I don't know how many people even know who this guy is. I know
Michael Thompson. Sorry.
Yeah, this is right. And
M.
I think this is your wheel. Yeah, M. Thompson to us because he may or may not be a real person. Then the other guy's a Webby, you know, Spieth's roommate, Kramer Hickok, playing decently well. You know, a pair of. He's 23rd at Shriners, 29th at OHL. Kind of just does everything somewhat solid. He's not the best putter from what I've seen. I don't mind it. I'd rather roll the dice with someone like Burgoon or M. Thompson. But Hickok, I think you could do worse there at 7,400.
Yeah, he was top. Like, when I sort of did my, you know, Webby quick research, he was definitely one of the top 5 that showed up for me. That said, yeah, I'd rather play M. Thompson. I'd definitely rather play Goon. I don't know. Garnett, like, finally showed up last week. I don't know what to make of that. But this is his time. This is when he's going to do well. He was one of those guys. He was like him and Hickok and I forget who you know, Albert Albertson. He was one of those guys last year on the Web.com tour.
And then he won.
Yeah.
Like, which is nice.
He won in Puerto Rico, right? Or Corrales or one of those. Like, that's a Web.com event. This is a Web.com event. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Tim's just really upset that we don't have like 11-3 Russell Knox this week because
he would tear it up here. And I'm mad that that since Brendan Todd was a Monday qualifier, he's not going to get in.
Oh, you got to email
him. Like 6K Brendan Todd would be something I'd be very interested in.
Send an angry email to DraftKings. There's like a real chance you'll get some tickets out of that at least.
No, people always get all wound up. They want these obscure guys that why are you not entering? You know, why is this guy not in the player pool? It's somebody that no one's ever heard.
Well, the problem is they get wound up on Twitter and they don't email their DK customer service rep. That's how you get stuff done. That's how you get things from them.
All right,
in my
maybe
experience.
I'll do that.
When you say, hey, at DraftKings, you suck, like 95% of Twitter, I don't know, for whatever reason, they don't take as well to that as when you say,
yeah, they don't respond very well to that, do they?
Dear VIP DK account, like, can I have some whatever?
Tim's only concerned about getting Brendan Todd in the player pool, though. Like,
it's going to save me a lot of money by him not being in the player pool because he's been god awful. I have no idea how he shot a bogey-free 61. The guy has been.
You're not betting him?
Terrible. Oh, well, you got to for old time's sake, but yeah. It's interesting that you guys brought up Michael Thompson because before, so like Sunday night, Monday morning, I was looking at him for a possible bet, but he came in at like 66-1. I don't, I think he's got pretty significant Bermuda splits. Like guy seems to just primarily do well on Bermuda. These are the courses he has success on. I don't know. He's in a range where there's a lot of guys I like, but I think he is pretty interesting. I wanted to bet him, but I don't think I'll bet him at 66-1. It seems like the bookies are onto him a little bit. I thought maybe he'd come in at like 100, but yeah, this is definitely an M. Thompson track.
Yeah, to me, honestly, like at those odds, he makes a better DraftKings play than because I think he's got really nice like T20 upside, T15, where he hits that at a decent clip. Can he break through and win here? I mean, anything's possible, but that seems, like you said, if you're getting triple digits, he doesn't have as much equity for something like that. But as a cut maker, and he can be your third or fourth man on a team, not bad at all.
Please tell me you're not still talking about Brendan Todd.
No, nope.
Okay,
thank God that you clarified that because when people are like, "Nice call on Brendan Todd, you idiots," it's like, but Michael Thompson came in 7th.
No, I zoned out not zoned out. I was looking at the chat, checking in on stuff. D. Kiefer brings up a good point. Yeah, if you can get your rake back if you tell DraftKings you have an identical head-to-head lineup with another player.
That is true.
That is a true thing, and no one ever does it. I never do it, but like, there are little ways that you could spend getting, like, listen, making jokes is fun, but there's also a lot of ways you can make some money back because. They're trying to get everything. I'm in a battle right now with Bovada over this some guy named Gil Cisneros. I was gambling pretty heavily on the midterm elections, and there was a race in the California 39th congressional district. Man, let me tell you about this sweat. No, but
and our viewers are now dropped to 0.
Put a lot of money on it last minute. Woke up the next day, was like, holy shit, I lost. Like that guy was like, I thought the race was over. They settled it as a loss. Whatever. It's back open. They have not declared a winner. Predicted has them at 95% to win now, and they're giving me crap about no, you needed to have Young Kim, and I'm saying no, guys. Listen, it's Gil G Cisneros. Like he's gonna win. You have to at least open it back up, and they're like, we have high volume right now. It might take us a while to get back to you, and I'm like, no, I want my money. And I'm going to get it. So that's the moral of the story.
Email DraftKings that, and maybe you'll get some.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really.
This is 5,000 crowns for.
And now we've reached the point where there are no good golfers left. Like sub 7.5, 7.4.
I could tell you Gil Cisneros is in play right now in this range.
And I would say
you guys would be like, maybe.
I'm loving for cash, but I see the upside.
No, this is where I disagree with you. This is where
got
all
some
the
dudes down here.
For sure.
Oh, let me give it once more over. Nope. Yeah, never mind then. These are not people like Nate Lashy in the gang. Who you got, Tim?
All right, so we're gonna just complete. So you pair ZJ with Duffner, and I mean you're gonna win all the money here.
Mm-hmm.
I do actually like Duffner. He was 21st last week. He hasn't really played that well. But I mean, there's another. I mean, 7,200 for him in this field, coming off of a decent performance. I mean, the course fit is good. He doesn't, not a guy that relies on his distance. So short track, probably a little bit better for him. And I mean, 7,200. This is a god awful field. Played halfway decent last week. I like him. You playing with ZJ and. It's ugly, but I mean, those are the two guys I like. I mean, what about your boy Poston? I like Poston this week too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's just always 2%. I don't get that.
He was 21st last week, and like you mentioned, leading into last week, he had a missed cut. But if you look at approach game numbers from Sanderson Farms, he gained 3.5 strokes on approach and lost almost 6 putting. You look at Safeway, he gained 2.6 on approach, 1.2 off the tee, and was almost dead even putting. So the ball striking at Safeway, ball striking at Sanderson Farms was great. Miscut at Shriners whatever. And then he played well last week. We don't have any strokes gained data from last week, which, on a side note, I hate events after when the prior event does not have
It's tough.
shot link.
He was
he
he was the seventh worst guy in the field that made. He was the seventh worst guy who made the cut in putts per greens in regulation.
Mm-hmm.
So he putted bad last week and still came in 21st.
Yeah.
You know who's dead last in guys that made it through the cut? Albert Anderson, my boy. I'm in on him
Shouldn't
again.
have gotten through.
I'm
that
in
guy.
on, yeah, but I'm in on him this week.
There's some betting. I've read some betting previews that like Anderson Albertson. Yeah,
I think it's Anders Albertson, but we'll just call him Albert Anderson until.
Can't we just call him AA?
Double A. Yeah,
Yeah,
some European betting guys like him too this week. I've read a couple previews with his name. No, but if you're passing up this, you're missing some gems in this low 7, upper 6 range for sure.
Boston's a guy I'm with you. I've been playing. I mean, I play him every week. I just like the way he plays. I think he's undervalued. He's never popular. And the
well, then you should learn how to pronounce his name right. It's Poston.
No, half the people say Poston, half the people say Poston.
Well, I say Poston.
I used to say Poston, and then now I go 50-50. It's a wild card.
I'd like to say I do it how the golf announcers do, but like I've never seen him on television. I don't even know what that guy looks like.
I don't think he's ever been on TV. He's just a quality player. He's just solid off the tee. His irons have been better this year than they've ever been, and usually he is a good putter. So that's when you see a good putter have a bad week. That's even more of a rebound chance. It's not like Benny on out there. A couple names from chat that got thrown out. Joel Dahman, not really on him. His irons have cooled down. Johnson Wagner, he's been gaining in this, during the swing season, legitimately 5 strokes putting every tournament.
He did all summer too, to be fair.
And next words out of my mouth, where he's done that somewhat consistency, it's just really hard to rely on that, because when you see him do that, it's not like it's translating into, he's coming first, third, and ninth. Like, he's coming in 20th doing that. So you're banking on another big putting performance to really have any significant value.
Mm-hmm.
What about Swafford? Nah.
He's all tee work, man.
I think he's a dark horse here. He's a bad putter, but he prefers Bermuda. He is all tee work. But, it's not immune to being aggressive off the tee here and hit some fairways and make some putts. He's only 7K.
Yeah. The two
ever since he won, this is almost 2 years ago now, where he won the Career Builder, and it was like, dude just fell off the map after that. He's not been good since then, which is strange. Because he used to be one of my favorite plays. I haven't looked at his putting numbers recently, but he used to be fairly good ball striker, good putter, terrible around the green guy. I haven't kind of updated that or seen what he's been doing lately, but he's just played so bad for a prolonged period of time.
Yeah, it's been bad for a while, but I don't know. Down here, I mean, some of these guys who are in spotty form, like, friend of the show, Hatchman, just brought up Harkins in chat. There's not much that leads me to him just on face value, but I do think he's better than almost everyone else down here, just from a pure talent standpoint.
Yeah. The guys that really stood out to me were Albertson and Poston because of what happened last week. The guys I wanted to ask you two about, who I was really into last week, and these are the reasons, like, despite all the Kuchar, like, not having, like, a particularly amazing week, a big reason for that was I didn't play a whole lot, so my 555 lineup was 25% of my total exposure, and I played both my 2 low-owned guys were Carlos Ortiz and Peter Malnati on that lineup, and they both did not make it through, but had been playing pretty well with some wild upside rounds. Recently, they're both really cheap again this week. I don't know. What am I supposed to do here? Play Wes Bryant instead?
Not play either of them? I think that's what you probably want to do.
Yeah, I mean...
Why was Carlos Ortiz 20% owned 2 weeks ago or whatever? And I didn't play him at all then, and he was kind of fine. And then last week, he was 1% owned. Like, I don't see what really changed with him.
I mean, the thing with... So 3 weeks ago, he came in third, and it's just like everybody gravitated towards him 2 weeks ago, I guess. I mean, Ortiz is strange because he had... I don't even remember how many years ago it was now on the Web.com tour, but he was like amazing. He won he won like 3 times on the Web.com tour. And I mean, we're going back now, I don't know, is it 3 years, 4 years? But people remember this stuff. And, you know, I think they saw the 3rd place finish a few weeks ago, and then they're like, all right, Carlos Ortiz is back. This is the guy we've been waiting for. And I mean, he's not been good on the PGA Tour. I don't know. So
it's also, I think during the swing season, we've talked about this a little. There's a lot of these tournaments don't have shot tracker. It's limited. It's not, golf isn't at the, you know, the front of a lot of things. I think people do just rely a little more on what just happened. So it's like, oh, this guy came in 3rd last week. I don't have the strokes. Like, I'm just going to go off course history and I'm going to go off recent form. It makes someone like that fairly predictable, but I didn't hate the play last week by any stretch. I didn't have him, but I saw why you were on him.
I mean, he's played pretty well and had some rough putting that happened again last week. He also, like, just, you know, this is really short sample. I don't have a ton of data on this guy. I don't really, you know, like, but just in the last month, pretty high rover guy. He's had like the 1 bad round every week. The last 2 times out, he shot a 75 in round 1 2 weeks ago, missed the cut. And then last week, he shot a 73 in round 2 after an opening round 67. You know, like, I mean, he was -4 through the first round, which, you know, it was an easy deal last week. But still, he only missed the cut by 1. You know, he missed on the number. So, like, and with a 73, he was shooting 2 over par on that Training Wheels course last week. So, I think it's kind of interesting if he gets through. The guy's got a lot of scoring upside, so we'll see.
I think if I was throwing a dart in this range, I don't know how owned he'd be, but Jaeger to me is kind of interesting at 6,800. 16th last week. You know, he's played well going back to the Web.com Tour Finals, had 2 top 10s, and then he's got 16th and a 14th in the last 3 weeks. German guy, actually went to high school and college in Tennessee, has a couple Web.com Tour wins in the Southeast. So, I mean, I'm not, you know, trying to make too many geographical connections, but I mean, I don't love Jaeger, but I would prefer Jaeger over Ortiz or Malnati. I mean, maybe Jaeger will be more owned than those guys, but I don't think he'll by any means be chalk. But he's a guy he's played pretty well over his last, you know, he's got top 20s in 4 of his last 7 starts. 2 of those were on the Web.com tour, but they were during the playoffs, which are, you know, decent fields, and compared to this is not too far off.
I played Jaeger. He's played 4 swing season events. I played him at Safeway and I played him at Shriners. Like,
he got the missed cuts.
I got the double missed cuts, and both other ones he's been good. That's what you're kind of getting with a guy like this. It's wide range of outcomes, so I don't mind that.
Yeah, I'm probably not going there. I'm gonna stick to my own personal guns there. I haven't played Jaeger since I played. You know, I took a couple stabs on him, I think, last swing season when he was just coming off the web, and I don't know. I've been using him.
It's tough. It's tough to nail down. Obviously, when this guy is, I've been getting him wrong. If you were both throwing out an agree to start, I have to mention Bermuda Benny. Come on now, Ben Martin. What?
Dude,
I actually like it. I don't know. You know, he hasn't played, right? He was coming off like a medical or something.
Yeah, I believe so. Hasn't played, but you know what? And this is again.
You'll talking. Know the garbage trucks are going by outside right now as you bring this dude up.
It's a sign. I'm talking literally, you know, big lotto field tournament. Yeah, wow, they really are. We're Bermuda Benny. Throw a couple shares in of him. He's a guy who can get hot with the putter. Bermuda Benny, I don't really need to explain that. Form has been bad for a long time. There's really
I think he lost like 9 strokes the last time he played on Bermuda. Like, for real. There was some hilarious, like, really bad putting performance on Bermuda, whatever.
Yeah,
I mean, he was injured because he hasn't played. Because I looked at him this morning. I don't think he's played since the Travelers last year.
Yeah, he has not played.
And who knows how long? And that's the other thing you don't know about these days. Like, it's not like football where it's like, oh, the guy got hurt and he missed 6 weeks. I mean, these guys struggle and they play with injuries they could have been playing with an injury for the whole year, and we never know it, you know? So it's kind of hard to know how long he was injured for. Well, yeah, he played like crap. Maybe he was hurt the whole year. I mean, who knows with him?
Yeah, I'm
Fair.
speculating, but I seriously doubt that he got hurt at Travelers and then was like, "Oh, I need to take off 6 months."
Right.
Like
Exactly.
it was probably a buildup, and he was just like, "I can't keep playing because the garbage trucks will continuously go off every time I mention this guy." But
It's only been when you've been talking for the last like 3 minutes too.
I know it's a sign. Having said that, like I said, we don't know. It's a total wild card, but if we had more of a line of work, he would not be 6,700 in this garbage field.
All right. So is he your pick to win? Kyle Pearson's adamant that we give out some picks to win.
Picks to win. I was gonna go Bermuda Benny, and then I continued living my life. My pick to win, I'm gonna actually go with the Chilean amateur. Not an amateur, but I think he finally breaks through this week and gets his first W.
That's a good one. I was thinking about that. In the last 30 seconds when I started thinking about this.
Me too. Me too. I had that on the brain as soon as you said pick to win.
Who you got, Tim? Pick to win and your best value bets, because you got some bets out there too, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Pick to win. I'll go CT Pan.
That's a good one too.
I meant to say this when we were talking about the guys up top, and I don't love CT Pan on DK, but compare him to JJ Spawn, and I mean, very similar player. He's been more consistent than Spawn. He's cheaper than Spawn. He's going to be less owned than Spawn. The reason Spawn is so expensive is because he was second here last year and he was third last week. And you just combine those things with a great course fit, and it's like the price just goes through the roof. And Pan's a similar player who's actually played better for a longer stretch of time. I don't love Denard Span.
Yeah.
Pan on DK, but I don't know. I might consider playing him over Spawn as a very similar player who's just a little bit cheaper and will come in at better ownership. But yeah, I don't. Pan's been playing really good.
That's a good one.
As far as bets go, I bet Poston at 125 to 1. We already went over that, and I couldn't find it, but there was a list of guys who train at Sea Island, and I remember last year looking at it, and he was one of them, and I couldn't pick up that list, but he's got some ties to the area. And then I bet Duffner at 80 to 1. He just shouldn't be 80 to 1 in this field when you're looking at, look at the guys around him, look at the prices of some of these other, Kisner 33, Henley 33, Lucas Glover 28. I mean, there's value there, I think, at 80 to 1, especially coming off a good performance. And then you can bet a JJ Spawn Rory parlay, and it pays 200 to 1. So if you want to get some action on Spawn, just parlay him with Rory, 200 to 1. Boom, there you go. But I'm not betting Spawn. I refuse to bet him at 20 to 1 or 22 to 1. So
yeah, that's too short.
That's ridiculous. If he wins, he wins. I wouldn't even get my money. I wouldn't even get back to even at 22 to 1. So there's no point. So.
Before you give out your pick, just real quick, we say this every show. Everyone, if you could give us a like, we would appreciate it. We got to build up that equity so that Tim can unload on JJ Spawn and then get back to even, because 22 to 1 is just not going to cut it.
No, it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
I will say, I think the one, not counter necessarily, because I think that was a really strong argument about CT Pan and JJ Spawn. The one thing I think you could say to that is that there is and I think it's the reason why JJ Spawn's so much shorter and so much more expensive this week, is because there is a real argument to be made that JJ Spawn has been hurt and is a really good player and is going to get to another level beyond that. And that's actually, in a lot of ways, I'm saying that to cover for. I will tell you right now, I'm halfway through it, but I'll have the projections out this afternoon. I can tell you already, JJ Spawn's not going to show up at that price because he's got a lot of bad data. But the data doesn't know he was hurt, so
it might not be relevant.
Yeah, exactly. He might be at just a different level, kind of like what we saw with Bryson last year, and that wasn't even injury related. But Bryson just quickly became a world class player, and it took it's going to take the data a little while to catch up on that. while we're on that, going to the hot take for the next level, I'll take Cameron Champ to win this thing. Why not?
Ooh.
I sort of talked about him earlier, and I'm going to like this guy, I think, this week.
Man, that would be impressive if he wins again right out of the gate.
Wait, did he already win one?
Yeah.
God damn it.
He
Where? At
just won.
Sanderson Farm?
Sanderson's Farms. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course. The one I wasn't paying attention to.
That one doesn't count.
Putting.
No, it doesn't. Whatever. I mean, I think it'll be good. Like last week, he was just like, he was top 30 in putting and like second in GIR or something like that. That's a winning formula. He wasn't putting out of his mind. He was just putting well. I think he'll be pretty good.
He's been great after the win. Like he's been there all 3 weeks. Obviously, he hasn't won, but like there's no reason to think he won't be involved again.
Yeah, I'm gonna listen for all the like tilt I've had over the years from being like, nah, Xander's not that good. Nah, Answer's not that good. Listen, you're right more. Like you always forget, but you're right more often than you're wrong on that. It's like there's way more. Nah, Damon's not that good. Nah, Norman Zhang's not that good. Like that happens more often. You just the ones where you're wrong sticks out with you. So, but I'm gonna land on some Champ this week. So we shall see how that goes. Got him as your hot fire. Put my bookie in a body bag. He's probably like,
yeah,
it's probably like 6-1. So I don't know about betting him.
Money. Yeah, man. Tomorrow night, as we always do, you can see us again. We'll do some lineup construction, Q&A. 9 p.m.
It's 9 p.m. Eastern time. Okay. We'll get that on the schedule fixed.
Boom. 9 p.m.
Call with Josh after this. We'll get him whipped into shape.
Another body bag. You're just putting people in body bags left and right. Just unstoppable.
Taking Josh, picking him up, power slam.
Oh man, that'd be a shock to the system. But yeah, I tell you what, we'll see what Cameron Champ can do. It's gonna be interesting. I'm excited for this swing season to close out.
Does that mean you're just excited for this to be done?
I mean, maybe a hiatus is never a bad thing, and then we come back fresh.
Yeah, everyone say happy holidays to Tim. He'll be around in Slack for a while, but hit him up on Twitter. We won't get to see him for a while unless you want to. If you feel like jumping in on a Tuesday NBA show, which we're probably going to get into every once in a while, we could have some good times. Talk about the resurgence of Derrick Rose.
Yeah, well, hey, I'm right here. I'm in the epicenter of the resurgence of Derrick Rose. It's a balmy 8 degrees outside today, so
cold. Yeah, not that cold though.
I'll be enjoying the.
I had to wear a sweatshirt for my morning walk today. I was taking the dog.
Oh yeah, my dog was looking at me like, "Oh, let's go for a walk," and I'm like, "Oh my god, this is so brutal."
Dude, winter with an act like a dog. Oh my god, I like having February in Maine, trying to take the 2 dogs around the block. Just I wanted to do bad.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm gonna rest up in the off season for Kapalua, and I'll be back with a vengeance in January.
Absolutely.
You'll be in the college football forum, lurking on Awesemo Slack chat. Hop on in. We got plenty of college.
I gave out Miles Sanders in the Slack. I try and give some donkey college football plays every now and then.
Yeah, a couple of Chubba Hubbies over here with their.
I missed out on Chubba Hubbard though.
Oh. Well, whatever. You meant well. You wanted to play him, I think.
Yeah, that was it.
Absolutely. Well, great work. Great season, everyone. We got one more show tomorrow night, but we will be around. Tons of stuff over at Osmo.com. If you haven't checked it out, give it a shot. Promo code from A to B. Actually, please, if you do sign up, use promo code from A to B. We could use that as well. All kinds of stuff. Ben and I do other sports. I do projections for everything except for the hockey, but the 4 sports that I pay attention to, I do projections on, and Ben writes articles on other sports as well. We have all kinds of stuff. We got Thursday, we're going to do 3 Fellas Talking Football, discuss Showdown. Friday, we got position by position breakdown on this show. Sunday, Ben and Laffy leading up to Lock, doing some final countdown, game by game. All kinds of cool stuff. Appreciate everyone listening, and we will catch you all tomorrow. And I have to bring up the button to stop the stream.